Bookstore, twice as a charm. Welcome, everyone. It is a special early edition of the MYBC Virtual Bookstore Author Series, 9 a.m. here on the West Coast of Canada, 12 p.m. in Atlanta, Georgia, where my guest is today. We are going to pause just for a second for a special announcement. Are we ready out there? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear LaChelle, an author, a mom of 15 children, a mental health wellness person, advocate, a all-around fantastically fabulous person in the wide world, and a great wife to Jerome. Happy birthday to you.
Oh, thank you so much. That just really, that just really brightened my day. So I am excited to be here. Jeanette, you are just something else.
I am. You know what? Thank goodness there's only one of you. There's one of us, and we are out there doing our greatest work. I bring a little tear to my eye when joy falls out of my eyes. That's called tears.
Amen.
Yeah. So Miss LaChelle Adkins. Welcome. Tell us a little bit. No, tell us a lot. We got all the time in the world. It's your birthday. We can make time happen. Tell us about yourself, my beautiful friend.
Well, I am really, again, excited to be here. I always love collaborating with you because you just have this way of bringing out the best questions. You have us really thinking. So I love that. But I am LaChelle Adkins, also known as America's Supermom. My husband and I, as you mentioned, have 15 children, and I was raised an only child. And that journey really led me into some hard challenges of navigating through life from being an only child to having 15 children. So there's so many lessons that I learned that were sometimes painful, sometimes joyous. But the big brunt of it was really around my mindset. Struggled with depression for 13 years. I was hospitalized 3 times, and now I'm passionate about sharing that experience with other women so that they can navigate through life with a plan, a strategy, and systems so that they can have life just happening with them as joyful. With a smile instead of stress. So that is a little bit about me.
Oh, as they say in the interview world, there's lots in there for me to unpack and ask you questions.
Yeah.
I would like to say that word passion is something that's deep within us. And I truly see that on a daily basis with you, whether you're hosting the Elephant Strategy Room and how you show up in that room, to your postings on social media, bringing people in, your collaboration, your sense of community. I would say, LaChelle, you draw energy. I've gone beyond, because everybody kind of throws that word passion. Passion is so personal, is that you draw such beautiful energy for your life journey on helping and serving the world with mental health and wellness, and specifically women. I'd love to ask you the question, because you said you have suffered from depression and come out the other side. Can you give our viewers out there kind of some scenarios, or what did that depression look like for you?
I love this, really taking this time to pause and think about it, because I think the first thing that really stands out to me with depression is that it looks different for everybody. So we talk about, what does success look like to you as a business owner, and everyone has their own version. And I believe that's the same for depression. So for me, the first thing was that I thought depression was someone who stays in the bed, doesn't have any motivation, doesn't want to get dressed. And so the fact that I was doing those superficial type things, I did not even think that I was depressed. It was really my mindset of just really not having much that I was dreaming about. I was pretty much on autopilot. I was just trying to make it through a day. I didn't really look forward to anything, even though I had my children and they had their successes. I just felt like I was not getting anything out of my experiences. And I really attribute a lot of that to being a high performer, because when I look back over my academic career, you get feedback all the time with a grade that you turn in for an assignment, or, your grades throughout the semester. You're getting that constant, immediate feedback. And then when it came to being a parent, that was like few and far between. And although people might have been complimenting me, or my kids were performing and doing certain things, the voice that I was hearing from myself was louder than the compliments that I received. So it was just really me kind of having this cycle of thinking that I wasn't enough, I wasn't bringing value. And so it was really that self-sabotage really was what my depression looked like. And I just couldn't come out of that for a number of different reasons.
There's a great imagery that came to mind, LaChelle, as you were speaking, that I wasn't getting the experiences out of what was happening. And when we take a look at that word depression, and the first, what the definition is, but the imagery that comes to mind is that deep pressure, like you're pushing stuff down, and that how can that experience come out from underneath, because things are just feeling so heavy. And in the moment, immediately when you said that, I'm like, wow, that's a beautiful way to understand, or to give a sense of imagery, is you're going through life and things just feel heavy, and things are coming out from underneath, like the lessons, the accolades, they're just not coming from underneath. What a beautiful imagery. Thank you so much for your words.
And I think, one thing to add with that is the not being in alignment. So you go from being a high performer where you're always getting this praise and accolades, and then you're going through life and you're feeling like a failure, and then people are praising you still on certain things, and you're like, but if you knew that I had dishes in my sink, or my kids left for the day with their bed not made, or I don't even think they had on the same color socks, they had on mismatched socks or whatever, So it was like every compliment came for myself with another thought that was a truth. So that made it even harder, because it's like, oh, if they knew that I had dishes in the sink, they probably wouldn't think I have it that much together, or whatever.
Just, it's such a powerful time and discussion. And I just want to pause for a second and say thank you for sharing this on your birthday, a day of celebration. And what the message that you're serving out to the world is such a gift that you're giving, to pause for this little bit of time to spend with me. And during this Christmas season, it must be kind of tough sharing a bit of a birthday so close to the Christmas season. And that mental health right now is at its peak with the rush, and what do the kids want? What is my house going to look like decorated? Am I going to buy gifts? What am I going to do? Are we spending time here, spending time there? That at this time, that I so wanted to have you today, A, to celebrate your birthday, B, to be able to celebrate your author journey to the book that you've just recently released. Let's dial it back before we get to there, that you have been part of a couple of collaboration books, I believe. And can you share what that journey, and why you chose that journey first to become an author, and what did that look like?
Yes. So, the power of conversation is what I would say is what really got me into writing. And, you go through this period where you're like, okay, yeah, I could talk about this or talk about that, but, does anybody want to hear it? We go through this same thing before you turn on the camera to do a Facebook Live. Does anybody want to hear what I'm saying? So I just have this philosophy that has really changed since my last hospitalization. When I got into coaching, I just had this attitude that I'm going to unlearn a lot of the things that didn't serve me, and I am just going to go for it and take the leap. So If I have a thing where I'm challenged about, then I will do it scared, but I don't have to do it alone. So that was really
Mm,
the premise for me, getting and connecting with other people and collaborating, because I really felt strongly about the message. But then, there was the issue of who's going to be the publisher and how am I going to promote it and all these other things that really were not important enough to get me to stop. So finding people in a tribe, and a lot of these just surface from connections online. I was able to be a part of 3 book projects during the pandemic, and it was simply people that reached out to me online through interviews or Facebook groups, and just reaching out. I had one gentleman where I was a part of his book, and I would be up late at night doing these videos or creating PDFs to send to people for master classes. And he would always be up, and he was on the West Coast in California. And so we just had this conversation, and I talked to him about writing, and he said, well, I think he had like 60 books. And I was like, how are you writing all these books? And he said that he dictated them. So he would just talk them out, get them transcribed, and then that would be another book. So you just find out so many different ways to incorporate being an author, if that's what you desire to
mm.
do, in a way that's comfortable, rather than trying to feel like you have to fit into a mold that somebody else did.
Oh, fascinating. So the 3 prior books in the past couple of years, since basically
Mm-hmm.
March 2020,
Mm-hmm.
what, excuse me, what were the genres of those
Mm-hmm.
books, or the topics of those 3 books? The
Okay.
overall theme.
Yeah. So the one was a business book. So he
Okay.
talked about convincing people, it was something more along the lines of changing the mindset for people that are buying. So that was more like a business type mindset type book. And then one was actually optimize your mindset. And it was a deep
Mm,
dive into what are the different mindsets in a case study. So mine was a case study on depression, what it was like as a mom with a lot of children, a little bit more deeper dive into my journey. I would say that's more of a reference book. That's what I would consider it, because it was so expansive. A lot of people were in that. And then the last one was just an inspirational book for women. We actually connected as a Facebook group, and it was a global project. I was the only contributor from the United States, and we just shared our story, whatever that looked like for us. So I talked about how I was able to remove the mask on my situation or my life. And so that was what my chapter was about.
So that takes us to you taking pen to paper and creating
Mhm.
your own book with
Yeah.
yourself. And the name of that book is?
Do you want to be whole? 7 steps to living mask free. So for me, and it also has a soundtrack. 2 of my
Okay.
kids composed 6 songs, 3 apiece, to include in the book. But it asks a question, because I am a coach, and
Mhm.
I feel like, although that's what I do, I enjoy, I'm passionate about, I love to connect with people that want to change their situation.
Mhm.
It's really hard to push a boulder uphill. It's a lot easier to be in the flow, with those that want to change and
Mhm.
improve in a positive way. So I asked the question for people to really take a moment to pause and think about it, because, I didn't do a lot of thinking when I was struggling with depression. I was always telling my stuff, you're not doing this right. It was always just these commands or negative thoughts. And so once I began to pause and ask questions, that's when I realized I had a choice. I could change my situation. And so I asked the question, and then I share my 7 steps that I believe help me in terms of removing the mask that I hid behind in so many different platforms or situations in order for me to be where I am today.
Okay, there's something there that you just said. I just so love listening to people and being present for their gifts.
Mm-hmm.
Is when you said that you were telling yourself
Mm-hmm.
stuff, telling
Mm-hmm.
yourself stuff, and you weren't doing a lot of thinking. And there's
Mm-hmm.
so many people out there that have heard that thinking, oh, stinking thinking, and thinking is bad, and thinking is this, that telling and thinking are two very different ways in your brain.
Yes.
And that's profound, LaChelle, that I want people to really think about when you're watching this on the replay, is
Mm-hmm.
that's okay to think situations through. And the caveat and the little caveat or tip or trick or skill you just gave is question
Yes.
versus statements of telling yourself, whatever the
Mm-hmm.
statement is, to questioning, flipping that.
Mm-hmm.
Am I enough? Am I
Right.
enough? Like flipping those telling statements to be questions. Am I enough? Yes, I'm enough. Am I
Game
a good
changer.
Yeah. Am I a good person? Yes, I'm a good person. Is
Yes.
putting those questions in your brain, or who have I been a good person to today?
Exactly.
And I've been a good person to myself, my kids, my husband, the next door neighbor, and giving yourself clear thinking questions. So you're not
Mm-hmm.
telling yourself your own answers all the time. Like, the world is not
Right.
lived in answers, it's lived in questions. So,
Yes.
oh my gosh, thank you. Debt of gratitude to you, my friend, because you just had me like fireworks went off. 4th of July, fireworks just went off above my head. Just
It's a
amazing and
game
beautiful.
changer. It's a game
Yes.
changer because, like I said, I didn't ask questions, and it's really funny because when you think about certain times in your life, you keep doing the same thing over and over again. We've heard the thing that's insanity, doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. But if we don't question, if we don't take time to reflect, how did I do this? How long have I been doing this? Let's just say it's even, you can take time out of your day when it comes to meal prep. Can you meal prep your meals differently? Can you prepare all your meals at one time instead of breaking up your day 3 different times, going in the kitchen, cleaning up 3 times? Can you just do it once and be done with it? I mean, there are just so many different things that we can improve ourselves simply by tracking and reflecting and taking that time to pause and think about, is this really the most efficient use of my time? I mean, this is why a lot of people don't delegate, because they really don't know what they're spending their time on. They're not taking that time to figure that out. So then it's hard to figure out how to get anything off your plate because you don't know what's on there.
So true, so true. So let's just go to the timeline right now. So from the first thought process of you wanting to write your book to it being published, how long was that journey? And I would love for you to read the back of your book. I feel that people, when they go onto Amazon, they tend to still judge a book by its front cover. And we need in life to flip a book over and question the back part of the book, the message on the back of the book. So
Awesome.
Please share.
So it probably was about maybe a year for the process. And I think it was me that was holding it up more than anything else because, you have an idea, but it's just really taking that time to pause, to do it. I think when you know that you don't really have a lot of dedicated time to it, it's just about doing a little bit each day. One day, do your outline. One day, it just the steadiness of having a task. That's just what works for me, is deciding, what type of book it's going to be, how many chapters, outlining it, just get started with writing. I did a lot of audio recordings, even though I didn't even use those, but it's whatever you have to do to get you in flow, I think is really what's important. So the back of this says, this is the back, y'all. This is me with a mask during COVID, and then another picture. I love the whole idea about the mask because, it was so relevant to COVID, but also just the whole concept of hiding behind something. Okay, so it says, do you want to be whole? As a mother of 15 children, I did not have the luxury of taking time to figure things out. I had children looking at me daily, and my leadership required me to help them be the best they could be. The pressure was something I thought I was strong enough to carry. My greatest pitfall stemmed from believing that I had to do it all alone and that asking for help was a sign of weakness. This book is designed to help you in your own personal journey of self-development. No two people have the same journey. It is up to you to determine what works best for you and continue your work until you reach an understanding and get the results that you desire. This is a story of what worked for me. You may decide to add or subtract what will work for you. I will call this a template that will give you a place to start, and you can evolve as you do your own journey.
Beautiful. So at this time, I invite you to open your book and read a passage from one of your chapters.
Okay, I think I'm going to read a poem that actually during this writing journey, I have never really written a poem. I had to do it in school, right? You have different assignments. That's the type of writing style that you have to do. But just in general, I wouldn't consider myself a poet. So this is a poem that I wrote. So I can do that. All right. It's Dear Selfish. I pray that one day you will join others in the world rather than expecting them to revolve around you. How can I be so bold to call you selfish? Great question, because selfish was me. It is easy to recognize what is familiar and what was a part of me. Many of us don't know what we don't know, but what we do know, we recognize clearly. How do I transform my selfish ways, you ask? I had to learn to love myself before I could truly love others. What is love? There are thousands of definitions, but the one I have chosen was taught to me from my father. Love is patient, love is kind, it does not envy, it does not boast, it is not proud, it does not dishonor others, it is not self-seeking, it is not easily angered, it keeps no record of wrongs. That's 1 Corinthians 13, 4 and 5. I now see that I have allowed love to fill my heart, and now there is less room for judgment, doubt, fear, jealousy, or hate. Life is good, and I now choose to see the good rather than the bad.
Welcome to selflessness, LaChelle. Welcome. So at this time, I'd love to ask you, who are 3 people that this book has been written to benefit?
I would say moms who feel like they're overwhelmed. It is a guided journal. It's kind of like what I would compare it to, because I do talk about my own journey in each of the steps. And then there is some questions for the reader to kind of have their own transformation experience. But it's short and to the point because a lot of moms don't have time. I would say professional women who maybe might be in a corporate space feeling like they are hindered from being their best version of themselves because they feel like they have to be in a mold of what society requires. And anybody who just wants to change. They're tired of things being the way they are, and they have given their power away and not realized the power that they have within themselves to simply decide to do something different. So those would be the 3 people.
I'm going to dial it back. After listening to people share their story and share about their books, I'm going to dial it to 3 people as well. Is someone who is going to school for social work, who is specifically going to be working with women, I think this would be a great book because there's nothing better than approaching a relationship with a potential client, I guess you call them in that world, that you're understanding language that or good language to use to build relationship versus technical or clinical speak. I'm also going to say this would be a beautiful book for someone who is working in the homeless or the, say, social services at the street level. There's a lot of women that are on the street right now because they have been told that they're not good enough. And again, to be able to have this book and the lessons that are in there to be able to deliver at a very grassroots, because I know you, LaChelle, I'm sure you've not written any big medical technical speak in here.
Yeah.
To have and a step and the right questions to ask. That's also a big thing as well, is if I don't know the questions to ask, I'm not going to get the answers that I know I have the heart to help. But if someone can help me with the questions. And I'm also going to say this book needs to be tucked into a new mom. If you've got a baby gift going out or for a baby shower, to kind of tuck it in, or maybe even somebody who's getting married and one of their purposes in life is to bring a family together and have kids. Is let's get ahead. And this is something that they often say in school. Well, I never was taught how to be a parent in school, and I was never taught how to do this, that, and the other. Is those of us that have taken the time to write the journey, let's get the book into the hands of the students before they choose to be the parent, choose to be the professional woman, choose to be the mom. So they've got the tools well ahead of the game so they can just enjoy the child, just enjoy themselves through the journey, through the experience, as you say, and know that there are tools out there. So that's my 3 suggestions. So that means you got to buy 6 books because LaChelle gave you 3 ideas and I gave you 3 ideas. So I'm sure you all know people out there like who I've been saying. So that's LaChelle, who I think would be a great gift this holiday season, or tuck it in a stocking.
I love that, and I'm taking notes. I'm always, I got to have a pen and paper close by always, because, that's what masterminding is. It is being present to hear. A lot of times we get distracted, we go through the routine, but we're not engaged and present. So yeah, I'm always conscious of that. I've gotten so many ideas from simply being present in the room.
That's the gift. That's the gift.
Yes.
So we wrap this up with the last question I always ask my people that are in the literary world. What is your parting thoughts to people out there about wanting to write a book? What's your parting message to them?
First, I just want to say thank you so much for spending time with me on my birthday. I love it. I am all about being with people that light up my days. And it has just been a treasure being with you since we got connected through V-Team. But I would say, don't make it hard. If you think about just the person that you were yesterday, there's some insight that you could share to help somebody else on their journey. I think we overanalyze and we think too far ahead about what we see the book doing for people, but we forget that they just need to start with that first step. So taking that experience that you have grown from anything, it could even be recipes. A lot of people are all into writing books on businesses, but I wouldn't be where I am with cooking if it wasn't for other people sharing recipes. Okay, because I was an only child, didn't do that. I lived for Rachel Ray. My kids knew who she was, so it was great for us when we got to be on the Rachel Ray show. But you could start with a cookbook. You never know. It could be a comic book. It's something that you can connect with your kids on. I think we limit ourselves by thinking that it has to be an autobiography or whatever. A lot of that could be associated with the certain type of books, but get out of the box. It could be a coloring book, to help people de-stress. Think about your message and what's the best way that you can kind of communicate that. So I would say, you know, anything is possible if you believe and just start putting pen to paper.
Great advice, great advice. And as you were speaking again, I came up with the title for your next book.
Okay.
You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Yesterday I was that. Today I am this.
Oh, that's good.
To how you reflect. And then
Mm-hmm.
each kind of page comes with, yesterday I was that girl that da 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 da, whatever happened in reflection. Today, this is the girl that I'm going to be.
I love
So I
that.
think there's something there, my friend.
I
There's
love
something
that.
there.
Yeah. Sounds like a
Awesome.
collaborative book.
It does. It definitely does. So
Definitely
we'll
can
talk
work that out
offline.
with you. Yeah.
So once again, my beautiful friend, thank you for spending 30 minutes of your precious birthday with me, your precious time currency with me. May you enjoy the rest of your day with your beautiful family and friends in celebration of all that is you. Have a very Merry Christmas as well with your friends and family as well. Pause, reflect. Remember, the things that truly value, you can't hold in your hand, you can only hold in your heart. So my parting words is, I encourage you all, grab a book. I've got a bookshelf there and a bookshelf beside me. Grab a book, take your mind, body, and soul to another place through the words written by somebody else. Enjoy your day, everybody, and thank you for tuning in for a special early edition of the MYBC Virtual Bookstore Author Series. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.